guys, this is Frenchy, and today we're gonna talk about media management in DaVinci Resolve because it's gonna change your life. So when I have projects with international clients, most of the time, they don't live in the country I am located at, and so they can't send me an HDD to my place. So we have to be efficient sending footage in the cloud. For years, I explained to production houses to send me over an XML and send me over the footage that have been used in the timeline for me to have the maximum data possible for my grading. The problem is that because the takes can be long sometimes, you can have takes that are really heavy, and one day I found myself trying to download 500 gigabytes out of a Google Drive, and that was a nightmare. So I have another method for this, and this video is a bit selfish because this is a destination to all the editors that's gonna work with me, but I think that it's nice to put it out there for editors that want to better their workflow between them and the colorist, but also for colorists that want to advise their editor in terms of what kind of method they should choose to send over the footage to them. So if you don't know, media management is great. It permits you to copy all the footage that has been used in the timeline, but with the possibility of trimming 25 frame handles before and 25 frame handles after the in and out point, while conserving the whole data of the raw. Before we are jumping to the tutorial, subscribe to the channel if you want more content on color grading, and if you want more tips on workflow. Maybe you are interested in workflow because actually it's a big part of color grading too. And also I'm preparing a masterclass for this year, so if you are feeling fancy and you want to answer my questionnaire to know a bit more about your needs, I put you the link in the description, and thank you for answering all this because it helps me to tailor my masterclass in function of your requests. Now let's go to the tutorial. Okay guys, so I think this is the first time in the channel that we are starting our tutorial in Premiere Pro. If, for example, you are not an editor on Premiere Pro, please skip to DaVinci Resolve when I'm going to be at the DaVinci Resolve part. But I'm assuming that there's a lot of you guys that start your edit in Premiere Pro and that will have to transfer it to DaVinci Resolve. So for this, we're going to start in Premiere Pro. I have a timeline in my Premiere Pro that I need to send over to my colorist, and my colorist asked me to send over the footage with the XML plus the footage that are cut 25 frame handles before the in point and after the out point. Especially for this project, it is essential because it is from an ARRI and it has been shot in, I think, in ARRI RAW. Yeah, this one is an MXF, so maybe ARRI RAW or a ProRes 4444 XQ, but this is pretty heavy files. If, for example, I am sending all the footage to my colorist, it will be very heavy, and so we don't want that, right? We don't want that because otherwise it's becoming a nightmare to download from Google Drive or from Frame.io, etc, etc. So that is why media management is the freaking best. For this, I need to transfer what I have from Premiere Pro to DaVinci Resolve, because also in Premiere Pro, I think you have a media management. The problem is that it creates ProRes, if I remember correctly, and the colorist wants the raw, but just the raw with the cut 25 frame handles before in and 25 frame handles after out. So for this, we need to create an XML and put it in DaVinci Resolve. To create an XML, super simple. You have your timeline without any effects. If you have nested clips, just separate them. So to export an XML, super simple. You go to File, you go to Final Cut Pro XML, and we're just gonna go to our media management. We go to our XML, and we put our XML like it's gonna be project. When this is done, we can go to our DaVinci Resolve here, and whew, I feel better. We are in DaVinci Resolve, we are in the edit page, we right click, we go to timeline, we go to import, XML, etc, etc. You go to your project media management, you double click, you say okay. There's a clip not found, it's okay, we just click no, we see what it is. It's Actually, it's a shot that is not supposed to be here, so it's fine. And we have our timeline. Okay? So, and you see there's some shots that are modified. So you can see that there is like some sizing that stayed. So what we can do is that we can select everything and just reinitiate all the transforms. So then everything is going to be okay. So now that we have this, we can come back to our Premiere and we're going to export a reference. This reference will help us as editor to check if the XML transferred right. So then like we can check if the in and out point has been respected. And so then we'll be able to media manage and have the good in and out point for the shots that we're going to export. I'm just going to do a simple one where I'm just exporting everything. Okay, now that this is done, I can go back to DaVinci Resolve. Here, what I can say is that I can put footage here. So that's my bin for the footage. I'm just gonna put everything inside. And here, I'm gonna just do a bin where it's a reference. Okay, so my reference, I'm gonna put my reference in. So it's in reference. I'm going to put this in up. So I have my reference inside the folder. And so what I can do is close the inspector. I'm going to have the two view here. If, for example, you have the only one view, you can just click on this window here for having the dual view. And I can go to my offline and I can drop my offline here. So what it's gonna do is that it's gonna link the offline to viewer, and so we can see the offline at the same time as our timeline. So our timeline is here, our offline is here. If, for example, you can't drop the reference to the offline source, just verify that you are in offline over here. And if it doesn't work, just verify that in source, you are not in live media preview, that this is unchecked. Here, you have your offline, and we're just gonna arrow down and see the in and out point and check if it's the same. And here it is the same. Okay, so now that this is done, okay, and everything is good, we can media manage. So now that you can media manage, it's super simple because you have done the most difficult thing, which is like creating the XML, importing the files, and checking if the files are in the right in and out point. Also, just in case, just verify that everything is in RAW and not with the proxies. Just because you are sending the RAW to the colorist, so everything should be in RAW. So check before you are exporting your XML in Premiere Pro that there is no proxies anymore and that everything has been changed to RAW files. So now what we're gonna do is that we're gonna go to our files in DaVinci Resolve. We're gonna go to Media Management and we're gonna go to Timelines. Okay, what I say timeline is just because if, for example, you are an editor that is already working inside DaVinci Resolve, then at least you can choose the timeline directly instead of the whole project, because the whole projects like wouldn't make sense to media manage. So here I want to copy, not transcode, because transcode like would create proxies. I want to copy the files in the use media, so that means that all the medias that has been used in the timeline, and I want to trim them 25 frames before the in point and 25 frames after the in point. So that means that I'm going to have 1 second before the in point and 1 second after the in point. And so you can see how significantly it dropped down the size of the footage, because here we were at 115 gigabytes if we needed to copy all the footage that has been used in the timeline, and here we are in 14 gigabytes. It's super good. It's really cool. So for this, I'm going to put it in the media management folder. I think I'm just going to create a media management folder just dedicated for the footage plus the DRT, because when you are doing a media management, it will export a DRT with it, which is then super convenient. So I open this, it's gonna go here, and I'm gonna start. And it will just take all my timeline, copy all the files that are in my timeline, and just trim 1 second before the in point and 1 second after the out point. I find this amazing. That's why I wanted to show you this, guys, and that's why I want you to push it to your editors if you are a colorist, or if you are an editor and you're watching this video, to implement this in your workflow, because this is way more easier to send over files to a colorist that is working remote than just sending the whole 115 gigabytes to them. You see how fast it is? It's gonna take me 7 minutes. Okay, now that this is done and I sipped my coffee while it was doing its thing, we're just gonna verify what happened. I'm gonna go to my files, and you can see in my media management, I'm gonna have all my footage and my DRT, and it's only 14 gigabytes. That's the best part of it. Okay, so now that we have this, I'm gonna delete everything. I'm gonna put my folder called timeline. I'm gonna import what I did with my media management just to see what's up. And you can see that here, for each footage, I have 25 frames before and 25 frames after. I'm going to drop my reference that we had to check if everything is okay. I drop my reference, and I can see that everything is conformed. And as a colorist, I can then start migrating straight away. And it's great if you think about it. If you have to download from Google Drive or from Frame.io just 14 gigabytes of footage, and these footage are in RAW, it is marvelous because it really speeds up the workflow, you know. For example, for me, I work in commercial, and our deadlines are super tight. Like, our workflow is really, really fast. And sometimes I can catch myself staying up all night because the production house doesn't know this workflow, and so send me over a bunch of footage, sometimes from Ari or sometimes from Red, where it's really heavy. And I have 500 gigabytes to download in one night, because the next day I need to work on it and I need to present to the client. So that is why I think this method is amazing. Now I'm asking always the editors to do this for me, so then we can really earn time on the schedule. You see what I mean? So I hope this also helps you, because I want to, of course, help myself in the sense of I'm going to send this video to editors for them to reproduce what I've done and send me over the media managed footage. But also, I was thinking that it could really help you to change your whole perspective on how to send over footage, or how to maximize your time in your workflow. So yeah, I hope it helped, and I hope you liked the video. I see you soon, guys. Take care, have fun. See you.